Las Vegas has come and gone. We are 3 races into the NASCAR season, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but I would say 3 out of 3 for NASCAR. I think it was a good result or a good race for the last 3 weeks. This one was good as well. More of like a normal-esque style race, I would say. But another Chevy wins. Chevy's 3 for 3 on the year. And one thing that I would say that I picked out from this race is that it doesn't look like it's all that different from last year. We have the Fords mainly struggling, except for Ryan Blaney. We have the Chevys good, but the same Chevys. We're talking about Larson, talking about Chastain. We're talking about, even though Chastain wasn't great in the second half of the season last year, but we're talking about Larson, William Byron, guys like that, and the Toyotas, which are kind of all around good. Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and who I think this year is going to take the leap, Ty Gibbs. I believe Ty Gibbs will take that leap. I think you will see him, up there on a consistent basis. And shout out Noah Gragson. 6th place for Noah with SHR. That is a huge run for him. As you guys probably know, if you've watched me long enough, I have never been the highest on Gragson. I know he won a ton in the Xfinity Series. I've never been the highest on him, but he has an opportunity if he can get that SHR crew around. If you put a gun to my head and said Gragson or Almirola, I think I would have probably picked Gragson. So, it's not like he's replacing someone in there that is impossible to replace, but let's see if that 10 car can actually get going with Gragson there. He had a good result as well. So overall, guys, the race itself, I had no problems with it. I think this race car still dumbfounds me in terms of why can this car be so trash at short tracks with dirty air, and at 1.5 miles you can still see the dirty air, but they're just able to race more with each other while still being on the throttle a lot as they are. It's just very odd to me how this car behaves at 1.5 mile racetracks, but 1.5 miles usually are good for this race car. And yeah, I mean, everything was good. There is one thing I'm going to talk about that I don't usually talk about that you guys on Twitter, it seemed like we're very upset with again. And it was during the 500. It was during Atlanta as well. And it's this one as well. But I'm just going to point out that I don't really have an issue with it, and I'm going to explain why. So if you guys ever hear me talk about the broadcast, specifically Fox, you guys probably know I don't ever really talk about commercials. Like, I really don't ever. If I talk about the broadcast, I'm talking about the energy levels. I'm talking about, can you give certain information here, certain information there. And again, this week I thought Kevin Harvick is impressing me a lot in terms of the coverage. He is surprising me. I think the chemistry within the booth is better than it's ever been for a while. So shout out Fox. You guys are doing not as good as NBC, but you guys are doing a pretty decent job. What people are having an issue with is with commercials, and what I will say is I don't really have a problem with it, and I'm going to give you a little explanation here. As some of you guys may know that I'm a cycling fan, and in cycling, the first 2 hours, 3 hours of whatever stage you're watching is super boring. So they'll just put a ton of commercials in the first 2 to 3 hours, and then the final hour and a half, there will be like no commercials. And with NASCAR, I actually tried paying attention today with the amount of commercials. And yes, there are a lot of commercials, in my opinion, in the first 2 stages. But I don't really have a problem with that, because in the final stage, anytime they go to commercial, I can still see the racing. It's a side-by-side. So, like, I don't need Mike Joy talking over a Wendy's commercial or something. As long as I can see the racing still going on, I don't have a problem with it. And all those commercials in the first 2 stages is all to make up for and to allow for the final stage to not really have any full screen commercials. Like I said, I don't really got a problem with it if the first 2 stages have a lot of commercials. There are sometimes, like, you go to commercial, 1.5 minutes goes by, you go back to commercial. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, I mean, I don't really, even at the Daytona 500, it didn't really bother me. Atlanta didn't bother me, and this week it doesn't bother me. I've always been on the booth with Fox. It's always been about the energy levels, the information they're giving us, stuff like that, the production, the camera shots, missing wrecks and stuff like that. That's where I've been on Fox. It's never been on commercials. And so far, as long as the final stage has side-by-sides, I'm completely fine. In terms of the race, we had some, tire failures early on. Christopher Bell, right rear tire failure, and Clint Boyer was talking about that throughout the race that these right rear tires are going to start at the lowest possible tire pressure. If you go too low, if you risk it too much, if you damage the right rear tire, then you have a risk of blowing it. Bell also would spin later on in the race. So Christopher Bell had a pretty rough day when it comes to cautions and stuff. So I feel kind of bad for him when it comes to that, or wrecks and stuff like that. But we also had to talk about Chris Buescher just obliterating the wall. And I think I read on Twitter that it was actually the team's fault. There was like a lug nut issue there. But it caused a red flag for about 10 to 15 minutes. So they had to repair the wall, the safety barrier, because of the damage it did. And then we go back to racing. During this whole time, Kyle Larson's kind of leading and doing his own thing. But the story of this race was pit road mistakes. So many of them. This wasn't technically a pit road incident, but William Byron had a piece of garbage trash thing on his car that covers the entire grill. He has to pit, lose a lap, gets back on the lead lap, but he was never able to really recover. He had a really fast car, but once he lost all that track position, he was not able to recover. Then you have guys, Ty Gibbs transmission issues with also bad pit stops. Tyler Reddick, bad pit stops. I think Kyle Busch, penalty on pit road and a bad pit stop. So I think it was 2 of them. Bad pit stop and a penalty on pit road late in the race. That ruined his day when he should have gotten a really good result. He did not because of that penalty on pit road. A lot of incidents, guys. A lot of incidents on pit road that kind of ruined certain guys' days and put them back in the pack, and you lose track position. Those Joe Gibbs guys, I don't know what's going on with them, but man, because Tyler Reddick, 23XI, Joe Gibbs pit crews. This has been going on back to last season. Reddick even cursed in his post-race interview. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, because I'm looking at other teams. I'm gonna throw Penske in there. I don't think Penske has a lot of pit road issues. Like they do, but not as. I think we could all agree that Joe Gibbs pit crews, whether it's 23XI or Joe Gibbs Racing, have the most, in my opinion, on all of pit road. So they really, really, really need to get that fixed. But Tyler Reddick was able to fight back, and with Byron not being able to get his track position back and get up through the field, it was Reddick versus Larson, which is not really a surprise when you come to a track like Las Vegas. It fits those two guys perfectly. So again, not really a surprise. Not a lot of Fords up there either. Only Ryan Blaney in the top 5. Logano was hovering around the top 10, but it was similar to last year. Blaney, the faster Ford. The rest of the Fords, not really there. But, you can throw in Noah Gragson in 6th. But in terms of running order, it was Chevys and Toyotas. It was mainly Larson, Reddick, Hamlin, Chastain, Ty Gibbs, those kind of guys up there, with William Byron up there as well, and stuff like that. So you get to the end of the race. Corey LaJoie brings out a caution with 30 to go. Everyone comes back down pit lane. Restart. Chastain takes 2 tires. Actually works out really well for him because Chastain's a very aggressive race car driver, and the car worked. And he knew it would work because Kyle Busch took 2 tires earlier on in the race, and he was able to hold on. So if you had a good handling race car, 2 tires would work. It wouldn't work to win the race, but it would work in order if you get a good finish. So Ross Chastain finishes 4th because of that 2-tire call. Really good call from him. But it was a battle between Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson coming down to the last 10 laps, and it was that battle of air. Now, of course, if we could get rid of that battle of air, that would be great. But we've seen in this next-gen car that you could actually get through it. Like it's not, in my opinion, as bad as Gen 6 when there was, at mile and a half. So Gen 6, I thought it was worse then when you really had no chance of getting to the back bumper. I think if you're able to manage the gap and you're able to manage your line, that you can actually get to the car behind. But obviously, if you run right in the tire tracks, it's obviously not ideal. So would I have liked to see Tyler Reddick get up to Larson? Yes. If it wasn't for the dirty air, would he have done that? Yes. But do I think he could have gotten there anyways? I do think so. I think maybe he could have gotten there, but it's really tough. It's really tough when you get in that dirty air. And unfortunately, I think as the life of the next-gen car goes on, that will probably get worse and worse as the teams discover more and more ways to go aerodynamically fast, more aerodynamically efficient, underbody aero as well, and stuff like that, more downforce, obviously. And as long as there's a lot of on throttle time, that's also going to be a problem as well. You got to get the off throttle time in the majority of the corner in order for some of the drivers to really fight through that dirty air. Let's go to the race results. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs. Again, no real surprises up here. Blaney was the best Ford all day. Tyler Reddick was, in my opinion, the strongest Toyota all day. Larson was the strongest Chevy all day. They finish 1, 2, 3. Chastain with the 2-tire pit stop finishes in 4th. Ty Gibbs, I'm telling you guys, this is the guy to watch. Do I think he's going to be dominant? No. I really do believe he gets multiple race wins. 2 to 3 this year would not surprise me at all. I think he's going to take a big leap this year. Pit crew has to do better for him. And I think sometimes I watch him in the Cup Series, and I still think he races with a little bit too much respect, which is kind of odd because a lot of people hate him for what he did in the Xfinity Series, whether it be dumping guys, being dirty to teammates, whatever it is. In the Cup Series, he races with a little bit too much respect. And I remember, I think it was end of stage 2, he was running in 5th, and I think it was Blaney. Was it Blaney and Chastain going side by side? And he had a couple of opportunities with a run. No, it wasn't Blaney. No, it was Truex. It was Truex. Truex and Blaney side by side. And he had a couple of opportunities to either take him 3 wide, run the top, go 3 wide on the bottom. And instead, he decides to follow his teammate, try to help his teammate, but it would completely ruin his corner, and then Denny Hamlin would pass him on the outside. In those type of situations, I know you're trying to help your teammate, but in my opinion, if I was Ty Gibbs, I would be more aggressive. Don't worry about it being your teammate. You're not harming them. Just make the best move for yourself. I think he was doing that in the Xfinity Series, where in the Cup Series, he still races a little bit on the timid side because he's still trying to earn respect, even though, in my opinion, I think the field respects him. He's a very talented race car driver. So that's my only thing with Ty Gibbs, is just be more aggressive. Maybe not to level of Ross Chastain aggressiveness, but be more aggressive. I think his talent will take him there to get him a few wins this season. That is my guy this season in terms of what I think he can achieve. It's Ty Gibbs. I'm not a fan of him, obviously. I mean, I'm wearing a Hendrick Motorsports hat. Shout out Home Field Apparel. We'll talk about that in future videos. He's going to get there, in my opinion. Noah Gragson in 6th, as I said earlier in the video. Very, very important run for him. Again, I don't really rate him, but very important run. Truex, Hamlin, Logano, and Byron round out the top 10. Again, no real surprises. Everyone in that top 10 was kind of running there. Gragson worked his way up. He wasn't really running top 10 the majority of the day, but he gets there towards the end. Daniel Suarez in 11th. It kind of goes back to exactly what Suarez can't be this season. You can't be running 10th to 15th. If you're Daniel Suarez, you need to run with your teammate, which is Chastain. And Chastain is usually, when he's running well, he's running top 5, competing for wins. And I don't see Suarez doing that at the majority of racetracks. So Suarez is going to have to just step it up a little bit. Chase Elliott. Do I want to talk about Chase Elliott? I think this is just the new norm for him, to be honest, guys. The 2 strongest cars at Hendrick is Byron and Larson. That's going to be the new norm. It used to be Larson and Elliott, but now I think it's Larson and Byron. And I'm sorry, I just don't see Elliott going back to his 2020 or 2021 form. I don't see that. I don't see it at all. So I feel sorry for you Elliott fans, most popular driver, but ever since that incident, the snowboarding incident, it just I don't know if he lost momentum or what has happened, but it's just not clicking for that team. And I think I said last year that Alan Gustafson probably needed to go. I still stick by that. I just don't think the car is fast enough. And when you have Byron and Larson running as fast as they do week in, week out for the past year, questions probably have to be asked there. But yeah, nothing really else to say on him. Keselowski, little bit of a subpar run. Obviously, the other car got annihilated in this first stage because of the tire failure. So can't really tell much on RFK, but they didn't really show up all day. Eric Jones in 14th. Carson Hocevar, in my opinion, good run. Top 15 for that 77 car. Carson doing exactly... listen, top 15 is really good for him. If he can finish top 20 on a consistent basis, I think that's really good for Carson Hocevar. Just my opinion. Top 20 on a consistent basis for him. Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Alex Bowman, Daniel Hemrick, and Josh Berry round out the top 20 with Briscoe, JHN, Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, Kyle Busch. Again, he had a penalty on pit road, which is why he finished back there. Justin Haley, Derek Kraus, Austin Cindric, and Harrison Burton, top 30. And then Kaz Gralla, Corey LaJoie, Christopher Bell, Yaley, Bubba Wallace, Zane Smith, and Chris Buescher. Bell with the multiple spins. Bubba Wallace had a problem with his car on pit lane, lost so many laps. And there was a cool moment, actually, when he obviously didn't have damage. So he was able to actually, when he was multiple laps down, he was helping Tyler Reddick by pushing him down the straightaways, trying to catch Kyle Larson. That was actually really cool. I've never really seen that before in NASCAR, to be honest. The car like 10 laps down helping a teammate. That's kind of cool. And not helping a teammate in a way of like, let's say, Elliott blocking Harvick at Bristol. No, I mean like actually like pushing a teammate down there. That'd be actually kind of, it was, I don't know, it was just cool to me. So other than that, guys, I would say a good Las Vegas race. I don't really have any complaints. A solid race. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Another, it's just, I don't think NASCAR really anymore has bad races. And if it is a bad race, it's probably at a short track right now, which we would have definitely not said like 4 years ago. But it's probably at a short track. Anytime you go to a mile and a half, I don't think you're going to have a bad race. I just don't think that's going to happen. The cars are close enough, and I think the racing is good enough that you're always going to be entertained. So, just my opinion. 7.5, 8 out of 10. Congratulations to Kyle Larson for winning the race, and Chevy winning 3 races out of 3. No real surprises yet so far this season. Honestly, I think everything is kind of going as planned. Expect Toyota to continue trying to challenge Larson and Byron. Expect Larson and Byron to be really quick. But it's really about who's going to be the Toyota, because I think Ryan Blaney will be the strongest forward throughout the entire season. I don't think that's going to change. Who will be the Toyota that stands out? From which team? Will it be 23XI? And in my opinion, if it's 23XI, that will be Tyler Reddick. I don't think it would be Bubba Wallace. I think it would be Tyler Reddick that is strong week in, week out. Or would it be someone from the Gibbs camp, and who? Truex, Hamlin, Bell, Ty Gibbs. And in this season, I think those 4 guys are as equal as they've ever been in terms of Truex, Hamlin, Bell, and Gibbs. If I had to take a coin flip, I would probably say Christopher Bell is the strongest. I'd maybe put Denny Hamlin second, Truex third, Ty Gibbs fourth. But Truex, Hamlin, and Bell are just really, in my opinion, equal. And it's going to determine which one of those guys is going to really like step up and then start really competing with Larson and with Byron, who seem like they're going to be fast week in, week out with their cars. If, this race, it didn't really change much. And then I feel like Chastain's going to be the wild card. Can Ross Chastain recapture the form of the first half of last season? Second half sucked. First half was good. Can he regain that form, and can he be really strong? It'll be really interesting. Can Logano, get going at some of these other tracks, not the plate tracks and stuff like that? Can Logano get going and get up to the level of maybe his teammate Ryan Blaney and stuff like that? So those are the storylines that I'm keeping an eye on. Chase Elliott, I'm just kind of like, I don't think Elliott's going to be dominant, in my opinion. I just think that's kind of, I don't know what happened. I just don't think it's going to, he's going to be, dominating races maybe like he used to. Take care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, if you're not already subscribed. If you're new, enjoy your Sunday. See you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Peace out.